Hey, what's up YouTube? I thought I'd take some time to talk about how I'm tracking my habits this year. And no, I'm not using TickTick. I think I mentioned in a previous video that I'm not using TickTick this year to manage my habits, at least not at the beginning of this year. Rather, I'm taking a more analog approach, and we'll see how it goes. You know, it might work and it might not. So I'll show you what I have going on in this video, and then maybe you can let me know in the comments whether you think it's a good system or maybe a not so good system, and maybe I should switch back to TickTick. All right, so before we get started and before I show you how I'm tracking things, I thought I'd talk just a little bit about what I'm tracking. So one of the decisions I made at the beginning of this year is that I'm not going to track a bunch of different habits. You know, I'm not going to track 12 different habits. Basically, I decided to track 2 habits for myself. That's running and that's reading. So those are the 2. And even in those 2 habits, it can be a little complex, right? So for example, I'm reading 2 books at a time, so that adds to how I'm tracking what I'm reading and how many pages I'm reading and so forth. And the running, I had to specify in my own mind what I was going to track exactly for running. And so I decided for myself, I'm going to track running outside, and I'm only going to take complete miles when I track. So if I run 3.1 miles, that's going to go down in my system as 3 miles. If I run 1 mile on the treadmill at the YMCA, that's not going to go in this habit tracker. You know, so I really was specific on what exactly I was tracking. Again, just 2 habits, reading and running. All right, so let me show you what I got going on here. So up on my wall, I have basically a year-long calendar. So it has all 12 months up there. And obviously we're only in January so far, so that's all you're seeing. Up at the top, I drew myself a little key. Basically it says, if you can read it, and hopefully the colors come through with the camera. And I'm not sure that I like the colors that I picked anyways, because blue and green are kind of similar, and so it's hard to distinguish a little bit. But basically I have blue. The color blue is my first read through a book. And the color green is my second read through a book. And to be honest, this is the first time I've ever tried to read through a book twice. And it is going a little bit slow, so we'll see if that habit continues, or if I might just stick with reading through a book once rather than trying to read through every book twice. But anyways, blue represents the first read, green represents the second read through, and then the red color represents running, so the miles ran. Again, that's outside miles, and that's rounded to the whole mile. And I'm not rounding up at all, so it's always rounded down. All right, and the other thing I had to figure out was, well, I'm reading 2 books at a time, so if you look down here at my calendar, I'd started the month off reading Gilead, and I was finishing up my first read there, and then I started my second read of Gilead. In the meantime, I also started reading a second book called The Humans, and so I have basically 3 rows on my calendar here. You know, the first book I'm reading, the second book I'm reading, and then down at the bottom is the running miles. So that's what I have going for my analog habit tracker so far this year. I like the idea of it. I don't know that I love my execution of it so far. Again, the blue and the green, kind of the same colors. And it's a little bit messy for my liking. I wish it was a little more organized somehow. I just don't know how to do that quite yet. So like other things, I'll keep evolving it, and we'll see where it ends up by the end of this year. So if you have an opinion on this type of system, please leave a comment. Let me know if you guys like this type of system or what you guys are using. Are you using TickTick, or are you using something more analog, maybe a bullet journal? Yeah, let me know in the comments. Well, that's all for this video. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.